Hey everybody, this is a week out after my Achilles tendon surgery. So just as a quick rundown, refresher, I had a chronic Achilles tendinosis as a result of a tendon tear, actually several tears in the tendon, particularly at the insertion, which caused a chronic inflammation and pain in the Achilles tendon. So what I've done is, after several years of physical therapy, etc., I have gone ahead and had the surgery where they remove the rear portion of my heel, removing a chunk of bone that's called a Haglund deformity. That is removed, as well as any damaged Achilles tendon that's trimmed up, and then they reattach it and they put you in a post op. It's called a cast, but it's actually a splint that's made with casting material. And that is kept in a position that keeps your toes pointed down. So there's our kitty. And let's see. So it's held in a toe down position, as you can see in the picture here. So what will actually happen is they put you in the splint that's just below the knee, and you're kept in this position, in my case, for 2 solid weeks. All right, like I said, so you're kept in this position for 2 weeks before they do a wound check and check to make sure the surgical incision. Mine was on the medial, or the inside of the ankle area, not directly behind the tendon. This approach tends to have less problems with wound healing. As you can imagine, not being able to look at it for a couple weeks is a little disconcerting. However, again, so it's one of those things you got to make sure you proper nutrition and proper care. So this is a non-weight bearing, meaning I'm not supposed to put any weight on it whatsoever. There has been a couple little instances where I had to put some toe weight down because of the knee roller slipping or trying to dodge a cat or something, but generally it's been completely non-weight bearing for this whole period of time. At 2 weeks, this comes off, and then they will put me in another splint. Now, some providers will put you in a walking boot with heel wedges, or they will continue to recast you with the toe down position, raising it slightly, about 1 centimeter, so width of about your pinky, every week or so, out to about 6 to 8 weeks. So I may be in a cast essentially for 8 weeks. Now this does cause some potential, it does cause you to lose mass in the calf and strength in the calf, as well as all the little accessory muscles around the foot. This is why I'm including some of the video and some of the discussion as far as some of the mediation strategies for this. One is to continue to do strength training in the opposite leg. There is some interesting evidence that suggests that if you continue to train the opposite leg of the injury, there is some crossover, whether it's hormonal or something, that basically can help mitigate some losses to the other leg. However, this is a small effect. The other thing is using blood flow restriction, as I will include discussion in follow-on videos, and also electrical stimulation. Now, the electrical stimulation is like a TENS unit, same thing you would use for muscle spasm and so forth, but in this case, it basically applies some muscle stimulation. The research on this is even more limited than blood flow restriction. Basically, it shows that there has been some evidence that it helps maintain muscle mass, but not strength. So all those commercials where you see them doing the electrical stimulation of their abs and think they're going to get super ripped and strong abs, maybe not so much. Anyway, it is something I will also be integrating into my plan to see if that's able to help mitigate some of this muscle strength and mass loss in the calf. Some research shows that even when early weight bearing after about 2 weeks and progressing into normal weight bearing after 8 weeks, there is even out to 2 years later still muscle mass loss, even with good physical therapy. So anything I can do, especially as an older athlete, is to maintain what mass there is and what strength, the better. So as far as after the surgery, the first day wasn't that bad because of the numbing effect of the block. However, about 2 days into it, it was pretty painful. I did get a prescription for some Percocet, 1 tablet every 6 hours. It used to be that you'd write for 1 to 2 tablets every 6, but because of the stigma with narcotics, they tend to write it for only 1. And then ibuprofen or Motrin as needed. However, I tend not to use those because of either stomach upset issues from GERD or reflux, or also the fact that it is known that the anti-inflammatory effect also inhibits the natural stimulus for bone healing. So again, especially as an older athlete, the less use of the ibuprofen or Motrin or naproxen, anything in that class, the better. So I did use it on the second night, some Aleve. However, I have not used any Motrin since. The number of Percocets at most was maybe 2 to 3 times a day. I, at this point, am basically using maybe 1 a day, and it's mainly just around bedtime, because I still get the occasional sharp, pinchy pain and the toothache kind of heel pain, but really not that bad. Not as bad as that I had heard from other people talking about how terrible their post-operative surgical pain was with this procedure. I don't think it's nearly as bad as when I had a small bowel obstruction. I don't even think it was on par with my appendix, and it definitely was similar to when I've had fractures and those kind of injuries. And then, like I said, this is a week into it, plus 2 days. So at this point, I have another week before I have the splint taken off. So we'll give you an update at that point and see how things are going. The big thing, is I did have a wedge, foam wedge that I used to keep my leg elevated. I was very strict about elevating my leg, especially for that first 4 or 5 days after surgery. At this point, I do try to keep it elevated somewhat, but I'm not as strict with it. Other than that, everything seems to be going well, and we'll keep you up to date on everything else that's going on. Now it's time for me to go and get on my swim trainer and try to get a little bit of cardio exercise in, as I also am starting to get back into a formal strength plan while I'm going through the recovery. All right, take care. Hope this follow-up information is helpful for you, especially if you're